Hey friends, it's Laurie. I'm happy you stopped by because today I'm making 3 new home decor DIYs that are perfect for summer. A frog on a mushroom, a bumblebee garden sign, and a patriotic house. I used Dollar Tree supplies along with some things from Temu and Michaels. And as always, I hope you have fun crafting with me, so let's get busy. Getting started, I'm using a 3.5-inch terracotta pot from the Dollar Tree. They usually come in a 2-pack, but I used the other one on a past project, and I'll link that below in case you'd like to check it out. This will be the bottom of the mushroom, and I'm painting mine with some white acrylic paint. When I'm done, I'm setting it aside to let it dry. For the top of my mushroom, I'm using an 8-inch glass plate, and I picked mine up at the Dollar Tree. It has a simple design, but you can always use a plain glass plate or even a plastic one that's already a color. I painted mine on both sides with some yellow spray paint, but any color will work. I'm adding some dots to accent the top of the mushroom, and I'm using these small wooden circles. I found this pack in the kids department at Michaels. They give you 3 different sizes, and I'm using the smallest in the package. I gave 15 of them a coat of brown acrylic paint. To attach them, I used my glue gun and I worked my way around the plate. I wasn't sure at first how good the hot glue would hold them onto the plate, but once I attached them, they never moved out of place. With the paint dry on my flower pot, I'm adding the 2 pieces together. I added a generous amount of hot glue around the top edge, and then I centered the plate in the middle. Giving the hot glue about a minute to set up, it holds the mushroom tightly together. I'm adding a flower to the top of the mushroom, and you can use pretty much any type you'd like. I'm using a white lily, and I found these at the Dollar Tree. I added some hot glue to the top center of the mushroom and then attached the lily on its side. I found this cute porcelain frog at the Dollar Tree. He has a flat bottom and he's lying down, and I thought he would be the perfect accent for the top of the mushroom. I added some hot glue to the top of the flower and then attached my frog. Once he's in place, you can leave him as is, but I'm going to add on some extra greenery. I'm adding on some pieces that I had left over from past projects, and I'm adding some in front of the flower and behind the frog. If you can't find the porcelain frog at the Dollar Tree, you can always use their frog pot hugger. Turn it on its side and hide the ladder with some of your greenery. After I added the pieces of greenery to the front, I then turned the mushroom around, and to cover the stem on the flower, I added a few more pieces. To add a bit of an accent on the bottom of the mushroom, I'm adding a few sprigs of greenery there as well. I'm adding on 2 small daisy heads that I had on hand, one next to the frog and one onto the base. To finish up, I'm adding on a butterfly. I purchased 25 of these from Temu for $3. I attached it to the end of the flower, and now that I'm done, I have a cute piece of summer decor. If you're new to my channel, please consider clicking on that little red subscribe button below, leaving me a thumbs up, and to all my returning friends, you know I am always so happy to see you. To start my bumblebee garden, I'm using three 3-inch wooden flowers. They came in a 20 pack from Temu, and I paid $3.07. You can find them at Michael's and sometimes Dollar Tree, and for this project, be sure not to buy the ones with pre-drilled holes. I'm painting one with yellow acrylic paint and two with white. Now that my flowers are dry, I'm giving each one a center. You can always paint yours on, but I'm going to use some wooden circles that I found in the kids department at Michael's. They come in small, medium, and large, and I'm using the medium size. I painted one with the matching yellow, one white, and one with my black acrylic paint. These are the color combinations that I chose for my flowers, and then I hot glued each into the center. Using the same 3 colors of paint, I'm adding some accent dots onto the flowers. I dipped the end of my paintbrush into the paint and added some random dots on the flowers. I added yellow on one and black on another white flower, and on the yellow flower I added black accents. Now that all the paint has dried, I'm going to add on some stems. I'm using some of the Dollar Tree wooden skewers. I have some shorter pieces already cut and left over from past projects, so I'm using 3 of those, and they measure about 8 inches each in length. I painted all 3 of them with my green acrylic paint. To attach them, I turned each flower over and added some hot glue to the back. The flowers are complete, and I'm going to set them aside and let the glue cool. For the back of my bumblebee garden, I'm using a Dollar Tree 7 by 9.5 inch wooden hanging board. It has a bead hanger. I'm removing that and hanging onto the beads. I'm sure I'll use those in a future project. You can always paint the edges. I'm giving mine an accent using some of this farmhouse ribbon from Michael's. I added hot glue to the corners and attached my ribbon. With that in place, I turned the board over and attached the ends on the back. I'm adding a flower pot to the front of my sign, and I'm using some wood slices from the Dollar Tree. They measure 3 inches in length, and I'm using 8 of them. 3 of them I'm using as is. The other 5 I cut a bit off of each to taper the pot. I then painted all 8 with my white acrylic paint. I used my glue gun to attach them, centering the shortest one first. I'm attaching on the flowers and I'm centering the yellow flower first. I'm then placing the two whites down at an angle, and if you notice that your stems are too long, just snip off the extra. I attach them to the sign, adding some hot glue under each. To hide where the stems and the top of the pot meet, I'm using a 6-inch wooden craft stick from the Dollar Tree. I painted it with the same yellow acrylic paint that I used on the flower. I attached it by adding some hot glue to the top of the pot. I'm adding a hanger to my sign. I cut 18 inches of the same matching ribbon that I used around the outside. I turned my sign over and attached the two ends on the back. I'm adding a simple bow to the front of my sign, and I'm using some of the farmhouse ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I made a simple bow and then cut both tail ends off at an angle. I added some hot glue and centered it on the top of my pot. To finish up, I'm adding on 3 felt bumblebee accents. You can find these at Walmart, on Amazon. Mine came from Temu and I paid $2.97 for 15. Using my glue gun, I added all 3 to the front. With those in place, this cute bumblebee garden sign is ready to hang. To start my patriotic house, I'm using one of the wooden houses from the Dollar Tree. It measures approximately 4.5 by 6 inches. I used this one as a template and I cut a bunch out of scrap wood. If you're unable to find these, they do sell other styles of houses. Just turn them around and work on the back. I'm using the one that I cut out of scrap wood, and I'm giving it a coat of white acrylic paint. I didn't paint the top because I'll be covering it with a roof. I'm giving my patriotic house a bit of a rustic vibe. Using a piece of heavy grit sandpaper, I'm running it along the outside edges of the house. I'm adding on a 2.5-inch piece of patriotic ribbon that I picked up at Michael's. I wrapped it around the house and then cut it to size. You can always add it on as is. I want to fray the ends just a bit, so I cut a small amount off of each side. When I was done, I frayed each side by removing loose strands of fabric. I added some hot glue to the center of the house and placed down my ribbon. I wrapped the ribbon around both sides and attached it in the back. To make the roof for my patriotic house, I'm using 12 of the tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm attaching my 2 sets of 6 together using my Starbond thick glue. It sets up natural wood super quick, and I do have the company linked below in case you'd like to check it out. It's easy to use. I just added some between the blocks and it's set up in a few minutes. My blocks are attached, and now I'm painting both sides of each with some red acrylic paint. I waited for them to dry completely and then used the same coarse sandpaper on the edges. Adding the two roof pieces on is super easy. I placed some hot glue on the top of the house and attached both pieces. I'm adding two wooden stars to the front of my house. One is a 3.5-inch star that I picked up at Michael's, and the other is 1.5 inches, and I found this at the Dollar Tree. I painted the larger one with navy blue acrylic paint and the smaller one with the matching red. Just like the house and the roof, I used the same sandpaper and sanded off the edges of both stars. I'm adding the two stars together, hot gluing the small red one in the center of the blue. I added the star to the house by hot gluing it in the center of the ribbon. For the final accent, I'm using some raffia and making a simple bow. To attach it, I added some hot glue just under the top of the roof and then trimmed away the excess with my scissors. With that, my cute rustic patriotic house is now ready to display. Here we are at the end of the video, and I really hope you had fun making these summer-inspired DIYs with me. If you're new to my channel and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. If you're looking for more home decor, holiday, or wreath ideas, I'll leave them linked at the end of this video as well as in my description. I hope you have a safe and an amazing day, and I will see you soon. Bye, everybody!